Whispers in the sand. The boy looked up at the girl, his eyes squinting against the brightness of the sand reflecting off the water. She was older by at least 2 years, and had the kind of patience that came from knowing she was the center of the universe. She had that glow about her, that unshakable confidence that only the truly loved possess. And she loved him, that much was clear. Her hand hovered over his head, ready to shade him from the sun, but he was too absorbed in his task to notice. The castle grew taller, the moat wider. He had built many sandcastles before, but none had ever felt so important. Each grain of sand was a soldier, each wave a marauding enemy, and he was the king who had to protect his realm. His sister watched him, her smile never wavering, her eyes filled with a warmth that seemed to melt the very air around her. Suddenly, the scene shifted, and I was back in my own dust-filled bedroom. The smell of the sea was replaced with the stale scent of a room that hadn't been aired in weeks. The laughter of children playing on the beach was replaced with the muffled hum of the traffic outside. I rubbed my eyes, trying to hold on to the vision, but it slipped away like sand through my fingers. Summary: 1. In a vivid daydream, a boy constructs a sandcastle with intense focus, his sister's love and confidence reflected in her smile. The scene transitions abruptly to the narrator's dusty, stale bedroom, highlighting the stark contrast between the imagined happiness and their solitary reality. Why did this keep happening? Was it just my mind playing tricks on me? Or was there something more? I didn't have children. I didn't have a sister. I didn't have a sandy beach or a blue horizon. I had a radio that played static and a bed that felt too big for just one person. I had a life that was as empty as the mug that sat on the bedside table. Cold tea and forgotten dreams. The calendar on the wall was still open to Tuesday, but the day had changed. It was now Thursday. How had I lost 2 days? Panic began to grip me, my heart racing as I realized the gravity of my situation. What if she had returned and I had missed her? What if she had called out for me and I was too lost in the fog of my own thoughts to hear? The dust grew thicker, the silence more oppressive. The house felt like a tomb, a mausoleum of forgotten moments and lost time. The pile of her clothes on the floor looked like a mountain that had been there for centuries, untouched and unmoved by the winds of change. I forced myself out of bed and back to the task at hand. The wardrobe was still open, the clothes still waiting to be sorted. But something had changed. The dust had gathered in swirls, as if a gentle hand had disturbed it. My heart skipped a beat as I saw it. A single red shovel, the kind you might find in a child's sandbox, lying on top of the pile. Summary: 1. The narrator is haunted by persistent visions of a sibling and sandy beaches, juxtaposed with their dust-filled, childless reality. Disoriented, they realize 2 days have passed unnoticed, and find a red plastic shovel among their deceased partner's clothes, hinting at the sandcastle dream's significance. The room spun around me, and for a moment, I thought I was going to faint. This wasn't right. This couldn't be real. But there it was, a stark reminder of a life that wasn't mine. A memory that had seeped into my reality like ink into paper. I picked up the shovel, feeling the weight of it in my hand. It was real solid. And it was warm, as if it had just been used. I stared at it, trying to make sense of it all. Was I going mad? Or was there something else at play here? The radio crackled to life and I jumped, dropping the shovel. The static grew louder, filling the room with a sound that was almost a whisper. And then amidst the noise I heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible melody. It was a tune I had heard before, a lullaby she used to sing to me. Trembling, I approached the radio, my heart racing. I turned the dial, searching for the source of the sound, but it remained elusive, slipping away like the tail of a shooting star. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. The silence was deafening, a wall of nothingness that swallowed me whole. I sank to the floor, the shovel forgotten beside me, and wept for the loss of something I never had, for the dream of a life that now felt as real as the dust that coated every surface. Summary: 1. Discovering a red sand shovel in their partner's wardrobe, the narrator experiences a surreal moment, questioning their sanity. A ghostly melody, reminiscent of a lullaby, plays from the radio before abruptly cutting off, leaving them in a sea of eerie silence and profound grief for a life they never shared. The house felt colder now, the air thick with a sadness that clung to me like a shroud. I knew I had to get out, to find some way to shake off this malaise that was slowly suffocating me. I couldn't stay here, trapped in this prison of my own making. But as I made my way downstairs, the front door swinging open with a creak that seemed to echo through the empty corridors of my soul, I caught a glimpse of something in the mirror. 2 figures side by side standing on a beach. A boy, a girl, and a sandcastle. I froze, my hand on the doorframe, unable to breathe. It was them again, the children from my vision. They were so clear, so vivid, as if they were standing right beside me. And the girl, she looked just like her. I stepped back into the hallway, the door slamming shut behind me. The image in the mirror shattered, the pieces falling to the floor in a shower of silver light. I stumbled, catching myself before I fell. The house was quiet once more, the dust unchanged. But something had shifted, something had cracked open inside of me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. This was no mere daydream, no trick of the light. This was a message, a sign, something that needed to be deciphered. With trembling hands, I picked up the shovel and placed it back on the bed, careful not to let the dust from my fingertips mar the fabric. I knew what I had to do. I had to go back to find the source of these visions, to find her. Summary: 1. Overwhelmed by the cold, suffocating sadness, the narrator sees their reflection in a mirror, now accompanied by the children from their persistent visions, including a girl resembling their lost partner. This compels them to acknowledge the reality of these haunting images and resolve to find their origin. I grabbed my keys and my phone, the only connections to the outside world that I had allowed myself since she left. The screen was blank, no messages, no missed calls. It was as if I had ceased to exist, forgotten by everyone but the children in the mirror. The drive to the beach was a blur, the tires crunching on the gravel, the engine a distant hum in my ears. I parked the car and stepped out into the cold, the wind whipping through my hair. The sand was cold beneath my feet, the waves a stark contrast to the warmth of her embrace. The sky was a canvas of gray, the horizon a straight line that promised nothing but more of the same. But I knew she was here somewhere. I could feel her presence, a warmth that grew stronger with every step I took towards the water. And then, as if conjured by my desperation, I saw it. A sandcastle just like in my vision, standing proud against the tide. It wasn't perfect, not by any means, but it was real. And there, beside it, was a red plastic bucket, half buried in the sand. I dropped to my knees, the wind howling around me. This was it, the proof that I wasn't losing my mind, that she was still with me in some way. I reached out, my hand trembling, and touched the bucket. The sand grew warm, the world around me fading to black. And when I opened my eyes again, she was there, smiling, beautiful, holding out a hand to me. "Come play," she whispered, and I took her hand, ready to follow her into whatever lay beyond the edge of the sea. But the world didn't melt away. The beach remained, the wind still biting at my cheeks. I looked down to find my hand clutching nothing but cold, empty air. I staggered to my feet, the red bucket forgotten. The sand beneath me was cold and hard, the castle's walls crumbling under the weight of reality. I searched the beach, frantically calling out her name, the wind carrying my voice away like a leaf in autumn. But she was gone, leaving behind only the echoes of her laughter in my ears. I sat beside the castle, the chill of the sand seeping into my clothes, and wept. The tide grew closer, the waves lapping at the shore like a hungry beast eager to claim its prize. The castle stood firm, a symbol of a happiness that felt as fleeting as the waves. I watched as the water touched the sand, the line between the two worlds blurring. As the waves grew bolder, reaching for the castle, something strange began to happen. The sand grew brighter, the air warmer, and the shadows grew softer. The scene from my vision played out before me, the children playing, their laughter ringing out like music. I watched, my heart aching with a longing that was almost too much to bear. They built and destroyed, the cycle of life and loss reflected in every grain of sand. And as the water touched the first turret, she appeared. Her hair danced in the breeze, her eyes filled with a warmth that seemed to light up the gray sky. She looked at me, a question in her gaze, and I knew she saw me. She took a step forward, the waves parting like a curtain before her. For a moment I thought she might come to me, that I could hold her once more. Tell her all the things I never had the courage to say. But she stopped at the edge of the castle, her hand resting on the crumbling sand. "Let go," she whispered, her voice carrying on the wind. "Find joy in the moments you have, not the ones you lost." The waves grew higher, the sandcastle beginning to dissolve before my eyes. I watched as the boy took his sister's hand, leading her away from the shore, their figures growing smaller until they were swallowed by the mist. The beach was empty once more, the sand cold and lifeless. But I felt something stir within me, a spark of hope that had been buried beneath the dust of despair. I knew then that she had never truly left me. She was in every moment, every memory, every grain of sand that clung to my skin. I turned back to the house, the shovel still lying where I had dropped it. I knew what I had to do. I had to live for both of us, to find joy in the mundane, to cherish the moments that made up a life. The dust waited, the house a silent sentinel of my pain. But as I approached, something shifted. The dust began to swirl, lifting into the air as if in a dance. The door creaked open and I stepped inside, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The radio played faintly in the background, a tune that made me smile. It was her favorite, the one she had sung to me so many times. The kitchen was still my bastion of order, but now it was a place of warmth, a beacon in the chaos. I made a cup of tea, the steam rising like a prayer. I sat at the table, the toast crumbs from my hasty meal still scattered. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, feeling her presence, the warmth of her love surrounding me. When I opened them again, the dust had cleared. The house was still, the silence no longer a prison but a comfort. I knew she was with me in every corner, every crevice, every heartbeat. And with that knowledge I stood up, ready to tackle the wardrobe once more. The clothes no longer seemed like a mountain, but a treasure trove of moments we had shared. I picked up the shovel, ready to dig through the sands of time, to find the joy in the memories she had left behind. The house was no longer a tomb but a home. And though she was not physically there, she was in every dusty book, every forgotten corner, every crevice of my heart. I knew that together we would rebuild our castle, stronger than ever before. I walked back into the bedroom, the scent of her lingering in the fabric of our lives. The wardrobe loomed before me, a monument to the past, but now it felt less daunting. With a renewed sense of purpose, I began to sort through the clothes, her silk scarves whispering secrets of days gone by. One by one, I placed her garments into the bin bags, each item a tangible memory. The purple blouse with the frilly ruffle she had worn to a summer concert, the cerise dress that had made her eyes shine like the flowers scattered across the fabric. Each piece held a story, a shared laugh, a whispered promise. As I worked, the radio played on, the music weaving in and out of the dusty air. It was a soundtrack to our lives, the background to our love. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the room in a warm glow. I knew she was with me, guiding me through the fog of grief. The wardrobe grew emptier, the bin bags fuller. But it wasn't just her clothing that was being purged. It was the heaviness of loss that had clung to me like a second skin. With every article placed in the bag, I felt lighter, freer. I knew that I could not hold on to her forever, but I could carry her with me in every step forward. The night grew late, the moon casting shadows through the half-closed curtains. I sat on the floor, surrounded by the remnants of a love that had been too brief, too bright to ever truly die. I reached for the last item, the plastic bag containing her books. They were her most precious possessions, a gateway to the world she had explored, the thoughts she had shared with me. I pulled out a book at random, a collection of poetry she had read to me on quiet evenings. The pages fell open to a poem she had marked, her handwriting scribbled in the margins. I read the words she had underlined, feeling the echo of her voice in the silent room. It spoke of love, of loss, of finding beauty in the wreckage of a shattered heart. In that moment, I knew that she had sent me the sandcastle vision, the shovel, the music. They were her gifts, her way of telling me that it was time to move on, to live the life she had dreamed for us, filled with joy and love, even in her absence. With a heavy heart, I placed the books back on the shelf, the dust settling around them like a shrine. I turned off the radio, the silence now a gentle companion rather than a suffocating emptiness. The house was quiet, but it was no longer still. It was alive with the whispers of our past, the promise of a future that would be different, but no less beautiful. And as I climbed into bed, the coldness of the sheets no longer a rebuke, I whispered a silent prayer of thanks for the sandcastle and the children, for they had brought her back to me, if only for a brief, shimmering moment. The next day I would start anew. I would clean the house from top to bottom, wash the windows until they sparkled, and maybe even buy some bird food. For her. And for me. Because that was what she would have wanted. The shovel sat on the bedside table, a symbol of the burgeoning hope that had begun to bloom in the dusty corners of my mind. The days that followed had a new rhythm to them, a purpose that had been absent since she had gone. I found myself looking forward to the mundane tasks that had once felt like a prison sentence, seeing them instead as a tapestry of moments we had shared. The kitchen remained my sanctuary, a bastion of order amidst the chaos of the rest of the house. But now I approached the other rooms with a new determination, wielding my cleaning supplies like weapons in a battle against the grief that had held me captive. Each dusty surface revealed a memory, each sweep of the cloth a brushstroke on the canvas of our life together. I started with the living room, her favorite space. The shelves groaned under the weight of her books, a testament to the voracious appetite she had for knowledge and escape. I pulled down the first book, a collection of her favorite fairy tales. The pages were dog-eared and worn, a silent testament to the hours she had spent lost in their enchanting worlds. I sat on the floor, the dust motes swirling around me like a living memory. As I read, I could almost hear her voice, the gentle lilt as she described the places and people she had encountered within the pages. It was as if she was speaking to me from across a great divide, her words carrying on the very air itself. The house slowly transformed under my care, the dust retreating before my relentless onslaught. But it was not just the physical space that was changing, it was me. The heaviness that had clung to me like a cloak began to lift, replaced by a determination to honor her memory, to live the life she had hoped for us. I spent hours in the garden, planting bulbs that would bloom in the spring, imagining her delight when she saw the first shoots of color pushing through the cold, hard earth. I filled the bird feeder and watched as the same blackbird returned, this time with a chorus of friends. They flitted and sang, a symphony of life that filled the silence with a joy that was almost tangible. And in the evenings, as the light grew soft and the shadows grew long, I would sit in the rocking chair she had loved, Her books scattered around me like a protective circle. I read her favorite stories, her favorite poems, and felt her presence in every word, every turn of the page. It was as if she was there with me, holding my hand as we traveled through the pages together. The visions of the sandcastle grew more frequent, more vivid. Each time I felt a warmth spread through me, a reminder that she had not abandoned me. And when I saw the children playing, their laughter carried on the breeze, I knew she was watching over them, over me. The house was no longer a tomb, but a living, breathing monument to our love. And though the pain of her loss remained, a dull ache that never truly left, I felt a growing sense of peace, of acceptance. One evening as I sat in the rocking chair, the room filled with the scent of her favorite flowers, I knew it was time to let go of the shovel. I placed it in the garden shed, alongside the tools we had used to build our life together. The following day, I donned her favorite hat and set out into the world, ready to face whatever lay ahead. I walked to the beach, the sand cold beneath my feet, the wind whipping at my clothes. I stared out at the horizon, the line between sea and sky blurring like the line between life and death. And as the waves crashed against the shore, I whispered her name into the wind, a silent goodbye to the love that had shaped me, that had made me who I was. I knew she was with me in every grain of sand, every ripple of water. The world spun on, unchanged by my pain, untouched by my grief. But I had changed. The sandcastle had been her final gift, a reminder that life was ephemeral, beautiful, and full of moments to cherish. As I turned to leave, a small hand tugged at my sleeve. I looked down to see a little girl, her eyes wide with wonder, holding out a handful of sand. "Would you like to build a castle?" she asked, and I knew in that instant that the love we had shared was not lost, but reborn in the hearts of those we had touched. I took the sand from her hand and together, we began to build, our laughter echoing across the beach. And as we worked, I knew that she was watching, smiling, her love a warm embrace that would never fade. The castle grew, a testament to our shared moments, a symbol of a life well lived. And when we were done, we stepped back, the wind playing with the sand around our feet. The girl took my hand, and together we watched as the waves approached, ready to claim our creation. But before they could reach us, she vanished, leaving me with the sand and the setting sun. I walked back to the house, my heart lighter than it had been in months. As I stepped through the door, something caught my eye in the bedroom. The wardrobe doors were open slightly, a sliver of light spilling onto the floor. I approached it, feeling a strange pull, and noticed something new. A small compartment built into the side, hidden by the shadows. Inside, nestled in a velvet lining, was a rolled-up piece of parchment. My trembling hands unfurled it to reveal an intricate map, the edges frayed with age. A red heart was drawn at the center, surrounded by swirling lines and unfamiliar symbols. I knew without a doubt that this was her map, a treasure she had left for me to find. The map was a puzzle, a key to a world we had talked about exploring together. We had often dreamed of adventures, of finding a secret place where time stood still, and love could flourish without fear of decay. The heart marked a spot that whispered of hidden truths and unspoken promises. With trembling excitement, I studied the map, my mind racing with possibilities. This was no ordinary task, but a quest, a journey she had wanted us to embark on together. The adventure we had never had the chance to share in life now lay before me, a path carved in ink and paper, leading to the heart of a mystery. The house felt alive again, the dust stirring with the whispers of secrets long buried. I knew that this was my next step, the one she had been guiding me towards. I packed a bag with essentials and some of her favorite books, ready to follow the trail she had set for me. The following morning I set out, the map held tightly in my hand. The sun had barely crested the horizon, casting the world in a soft ethereal glow. The air was filled with the scent of possibility, the promise of a new day and the chance to discover what lay beyond the edge of the known. The journey was not easy. The map led me through winding streets and overgrown paths, each step revealing a world we had never seen together. But every challenge was a testament to her love, a reminder that she was with me, urging me forward. I encountered strange lands and even stranger people, all of whom spoke of a place where hearts never broke, where sandcastles remained untouched by the tides of time. The journey was fraught with peril and wonder, the map's cryptic messages leading me deeper into a realm of beauty and sorrow. And then one fateful day I arrived. The secret location lay before me, the heart of the map's mystery, a hidden cove with a single tree, its branches heavy with the weight of countless wishes. Under the tree I found a chest, the wood polished smooth by time and the touch of many hands. I opened it, and there, nestled in a bed of velvet, lay a single item, a necklace, a heart made of the purest gold, holding a tiny vial filled with the sands of our beach. Tears streamed down my face as I fastened the necklace around my neck. The warmth of her love filled me, the weight of the sand a constant reminder of her presence. I knew then that she had never truly left me, that she had been guiding me on this journey all along. The cove was filled with the echoes of laughter, the whispers of our shared dreams. I sat under the tree, the sand beneath me warm, and felt her hand in mine. We had found our secret place, our eternal sandcastle, and together, we would watch the world go by, forever entwined in the sands of time.